The rich fool. Let's explore the parable of the rich fool, an interpretation of the message about how, if we focus our attention on the wealth of the world, we're in danger of not accumulating our wealth in the kingdom of heaven. The On Fire Cafe presents the study of parables, the rich fool. Luke 12:13-21. And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak to my brother, that he divide the inheritance with me. And he said unto him, Man, who made me a judge or a divider over you? And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth. And he spake a parable unto them, saying, The ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, What shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? And he said, This will I do, I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said unto him, Thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided? So is he that layeth up treasure for himself, and is not rich toward God. The inheritance. The parable of the rich fool begins with someone asking Jesus to arbitrate a dispute between two brothers over an inheritance. His clear refusal to involve himself is evidenced in his response, asking them who made him the decision maker over their disagreement. Destroy family relationships. How many times have we known someone involved in the circumstances of this story? It's too often that families lose all cohesiveness when someone passes and there is money to be had. I've seen this destroy family relationships, siblings who never speak to each other again, people trying to hurt or destroy each other over it, or through lawsuits or destruction of property and retribution. Coveting possessions. Coveting the possessions of others has become commonplace. We must all have the best of everything as a social indicator as to our value. We are a society of I want, therefore I must have. No one is willing to wait for anything. It must be an immediate satisfaction or rage is the response. It's like we have become a society of spoiled children. Be realistic. What motivates this behavior where money is concerned? Is money more important than the love and fellowship that we share with our families? Let's be realistic. It was not ours to begin with. So what makes us think we have the right to take it now? Coveting the possessions of another is wrong, except that the pursuit of possessions above love is of the world. Possessions will not save you. Money will not fix you. Only trusting in God can give you the peace that you seek. Beware covetousness. Jesus tells them to beware covetousness, stating that a man's life is not measured by his possessions. He is suggesting here that a man is not defined by what he owns or the wealth that he has accumulated. Defined by successes. I've known so many people who define themselves by their monetary or business successes. They hold themselves in high esteem because they have been able to obtain things and financial wealth. Some of them believe that their entire self-worth relies upon how much they are able to obtain. Their eyes remain fixed on getting more and more, afraid to stop, afraid to hesitate, else they'd lose their edge. Their way, the only way. They go one step further and try to convince those they love that their way is the right way, the only way. If you do not choose to do what is necessary to propel yourself toward wealth, you will be worthless. You will be rejected by society, so they put the pressure on. Recipe for disaster. What they have failed to consider is that obtaining those things and financial wealth above all else is a form of worshiping the world. Money and things are not the answer to everything. Money will not fix everything like they would like to believe. It will not keep you safe in and of itself. It is not the key to your happiness. In fact, it is a recipe for disaster. God is the answer. Keeping your eyes fixed on God, keeping our hearts and minds in the Spirit in place of the world, is the answer to what they seek. God is the answer to everything. It is God that will keep us safe. God is the key to our happiness. So doing everything that is necessary to propel ourselves towards knowledge in the Spirit is the solution. Society's approval is worthless and without merit. The Great Bounty. Jesus continues with the parable of the rich fool. The ground of the man brought forth a great bounty, so much so that the man had nowhere to store all of his fruits. And he worried about what he would do to store all the abundance, as his barns were not large enough to accommodate his bounty. Frivolous spending. I read once about a celebrity who was taking $10,000 milk baths for her skin. Now, the article said it was goat's milk, not cow's milk, but it was still just milk. I remember thinking how frivolous this was. What a waste of money. It sounded to me like a person who was lost. What is the benefit? There is no benefit to the spiritual growth or to the relationship with God. Lost sight. Living in the world, we lose sight of what is important. Are we so focused on what to do with all the things we strive to acquire, or focused on the acquisition of things, that we've lost the foundation of what our lives should be about? Have we lost sight of the spiritual goals, lost sight of what should be important in our lives and in our hearts? Everything in moderation. There's nothing wrong with working hard, providing for ourselves and our families. It is only when our focus is overtaken with the need to acquire things and wealth beyond our focus on God that we're in danger of losing ourselves. Everything in moderation. Do not let the world's value dictate who you are and what you want to become. Much wealth in the world. So the rich man decides that the best course of action is to tear down his existing barns. Then he can build larger, more accommodating barns to store his fruits. That way, he will have more than he needs for many years, and he can relax. He will no longer have to worry. He will then be free to eat, drink, and be merry. The more we make, the more we need. In today's society, do we set the goal for ourselves to build large stores of possessions and wealth, just so that we can hold on to them even though we don't need them? Apparently, this mindset is nothing new. As we buy our homes, cars, and possessions, working and striving to be promoted, we obtain more and more, our focus stays on the prizes. The more money we make, the more money we need. It is like a vicious circle. It requires long hours that consume all of our time. Now we must pay someone to clean our home, raise our children, and even care for the lawn. Time is a commodity. We must have that which is customary for our life station. We must have a starter home, then a family home, and then an estate if possible. Don't forget the need for the pool, the boat, the golf club membership, and the timeshares. And do we even have time to use them? Isn't this the modern equivalent of the larger barn? Similar plan. Some have the idea that we put away our money in savings and investments with goals to retire early, a goal to live off of our savings. This appears to be a similar plan to the one for the rich man. So, are we living our lives around producing for our respective careers without actually living? Are we staying focused on career in place of a focus toward God? Are we allotting enough time to our spiritual growth and worship? Or are we like the rich fool, collecting our stores and preparing to tear down the barn to build us a bigger one? No wealth in God's kingdom. That night, God let the rich man know that he would die. He had been a fool to focus his life on obtaining possessions above his love of God. So what good are all those possessions to him now? And who will benefit from his stores now that he will be dead? He was foolish to strive to be rich in possessions that are of the world. There's no time left, and he is poor in the spirit. He is not rich toward God. Our standing in God's kingdom. So if we were to die tonight, how would our standing be in God's kingdom? And has our energy been devoted to God? Have we been learning scripture? And has there been prayer, not only for ourselves, but to help others? Have we been trying to educate others about God and share the message of salvation? If we have not been doing all these things plentifully, what is our wealth in God's kingdom? How will we benefit from all these things we have collected in the world? For the world will be gone. Be content with filling the needs. Remember, for most of us, we still have time. So let go of the temptations to achieve more wealth and possessions above all else. Be content with filling your needs. Devote your heart to the things of God's kingdom and build your stores in the kingdom of heaven. Well, thanks for joining us here at the On Fire Cafe YouTube channel. Be sure and hit subscribe and come visit us on our website at www.onfirecafe.net. I hope that we'll see you there.